Hey everybody, this is Matt Lloyd from SAP. In this short demo, we're going to look at car fuel economy. The data is split into three parts, so we're going to bring that all together. We're then going to do a little bit of cleansing, create some visualizations and a storyboard, and then share that onto the cloud for others. Okay, so let's get started. So I'll create a new document. I'm going to be using an Excel file for this, but you could also be using text files, whether it's CSV, text, log, etc. We can copy data from the clipboard. You can connect to HANA to use that as a data source, or the SAP Business Objects Universes. You can use freehand SQL as well for any other database or JDBC source. And finally, we can use Business Warehouse as well from SAP. But I'm going to be using an Excel file, so I'll just click Next. So I'll browse for that file, which is in my Files folder. So there it is, car fuel economy. And like I said, this file split into three parts. What I've done is I've got the fuel economy for 2012 and then for 2013, and then we've got a lookup table as well. So I'm just going to first of all bring in the fuel economy details for 2012. Okay, great, so that's done. So I'll go back to the prepare room. So we have four rooms here: prepare, visualize, compose and share, and we'll go through those in detail. So I'll go back to prepare because I want to bring in some more data. So what I want to do is combine this extra data. So I go to combine, and we want to append the 2013 data to what we've got for 2012. So I go to add new data set, can pick the same file again, and then this time we'll change this from to the 2013 worksheet. Then click create. And so what Lumira has done is looked at all the different columns that we've got and realized that these match. So I can just say append, and this will add the 2013 data on top of what we've already got for 2012, making one bigger data set. And then next of all, what we've got down here is we've got something called the car line class ID. So if I click on that, Lumira will highlight it. But what I want to do is, and I'm just going to swap to the facets view. So this shows just the unique values for this data set. So if we look at the car line class, we can see these are just IDs, which isn't that user friendly. So what we're going to do is bring in some lookup data. So if I go back to combine, and this time we'll merge some data in, and I'll add in my data set again. It's my car fuel economy, and then this time I'm going to use my car line lookup worksheet. So you can see here we've got the IDs and the actual text to go with them. So I say create, and so Lumira's looked at this data and it's found the car line class ID, and I'll match that to car line class ID over here. And if you wanted to, you can actually merge on multiple fields at once if you need to, and you can see there's a 99% match, and the extra 1% is because some of the values are blank in my system. We don't have any data for those in the Excel file we pulled in. Okay, so I can just merge those together. So we're pulling in the description as well, so not just the car line ID, but the description that goes with it. So that's good. Okay, so the next thing, let's have a look through some of this data. So let's have a look at the fuel type. And in here what we can see is we've got quite a few that are similar. So there's a few things that talk about gasoline, there's a diesel and a compressed gas. And I want to just simplify these names, so I'm going to select all four of these gasoline fields or data values, and down here I'll go to group selected values, and I'm just going to simplify these and call them all gasoline. So I'll just take out the rest of that text and then hit apply. So Lumira is now changing this inside the data, because what we've done is when we brought the data in, we've pulled it into Lumira itself. So we're not referring to the Excel file anymore, we're actually referring to the data inside Lumira, so we can make changes to it. And the other thing I'll do is I'll rename diesel, because that's quite a long name. So I'll go to replace, I'll copy the text for diesel, I'll put that in and hit apply. So now most of the cars that we've got in this list are gasoline powered. We've got some that are diesel and one that's natural gas. Okay, that's good. And then something else I'm interested in doing for this data is looking at the manufacturer's name for the car. And so that's Audi BMW, and we've also got the car line. That's the field we brought in as well from that extra data set. And I want to combine those together. So I've got manufacturer name selected already. So I'll just control and click car line to select that as well. And then what I'll do is concatenate these together and add a space between them. So it'll be the manufacturer's name and then the car line. So I click apply. And what Lumira has done now is add an extra column into my data set, which for this combined field. And I could have done that with formulas, so we also have calculations that we can do inside Lumira. So here's my merged column, and I'm just going to come in and rename that, and we'll call it MFR car line. And we'll use that later on in our visualizations. And the other thing, just to show very quickly, is we can actually use formulas inside here as well. So if I go to calculation, and we'll create a new calculated dimension. But first of all, let's have a look down at the list of data. We've got the release date. So if just select that, and you can see this is like the year, month, and day all in one field. So what I'm going to do is just show you how we could create a calculation here. So I'll go to a new calculated dimension, and what we'll do is we'll call this year. And here's a list of all the functions that I can do on here. So I'll just scroll to the bottom and I can find the year function and double click that. And then down here I can come down and just double click on release date. So we're going to be getting the year from the release date. And then I can say OK. And there you go. So we can see we've got 2 years. So we've got 2012 and 2013. And I don't need that for this specific bit of analysis, but I just wanted to show you quickly how we can use formulas inside Lumira to actually create additional columns as well. Okay, great. So I've done some preparation of the data, cleansed it a little bit. Let's go in and visualize. So the first thing I'm interested in is actually looking at the fuel economy for the different cars that we've got. So I don't want to sum these together, the fuel economies. I want to find out what the highest is. So I come to the settings icon and change that to max. So we're now looking at the fuel economy combined, the maximum, the highest. And I'll also do the same with the CO2 combined, because I'll be using that in a minute as well. Okay, so let's build our first chart. So we'll come to the fuel economy combined, and I'll double click to add that into my chart. And we want to break that down by the MFR car line that we created before. That was the extra column that we created, if you remember, where it's the name of the manufacturer plus the car line itself. Okay, so there's quite a few of those, so I want to break that down, and maybe I'll just rank this. So I want to see the top 5. So I click on the fuel FE combined, come down to rank values, and we'll change this to 5. So we're looking for just the top 5 cars. And there you go. So you can see that the Toyota Prius is at the top of that list. Okay, perfect. And what I'm also going to do is in a minute we'll create a storyboard. And I'm interested in, for that storyboard, a couple of other things. So I'll just create another visualization, and I will bring in the fuel economy combined for that one, and we'll use a numeric point. So this is showing just one big number, and we'll do one more of those as well. And this time I use the change to a numeric point and look at the combined CO2 emissions. Okay, great. So that's 3 quick visualizations that I've created, and as you can see, we've got quite a few of these here that we can choose from inside Lumira. So now we're going to go over and use these visualizations to build a story. So when I go into the compose room, I get 3 choices. So first of all, I'm going to change the name of my story. We'll call it car fuel economy. And I can either pick a board or an infographic, and we'll look at what an infographic is later. But a board is an interactive storyboard, so that's what I want to use for this. And I'm actually going to, and I can choose a bunch of different layouts, so I can do a blank, left or right. So I'm just going to use the left layout, so I'm going to put my chart on the left hand side and some other controls on the right hand side. So I'll click create, and there you go, it's made my layout for me. And I'll double click to change this chart title, and I'll call it car picker. And what I'll do now is I'll take the chart that we created before and drop that into the left hand side, and then I'll select that, and what I'll do is I'll turn off the legend because we don't need to see that, and we can also turn off on the axis. I can turn off the title in the x-axis, and that's good. And what I'll also do is above this chart I'll drop in the combined fuel economy and also the CO2 emissions next to that as well. So I've got all three of those things in there, and then I'll just make that a little bit smaller so they all fit together nicely. Perfect. Okay, so that's great, but I've got some unused space on the right hand side, and so far this isn't interactive. And I could also bring in additional bits of text or pictures into here, just JPEGs or PNGs. But what I want to do is make this interactive. So I'll come to Input Controls, and this is a list of all the dimensions that I've got in my system. And first of all, I will pick the fuel type and drop that into here. And secondly, I will bring in the transmission type. Drop that into there as well. Okay, so that's great. So then I'll just make those a little bit smaller to give a bit more space to my charts. Okay, fantastic. So that's my storyboard that I've created with just one page. And then what this would allow me to do is I can preview this to see what it would look like from an end user, and I can then select, maybe I'm interested in a diesel car. So I select diesel, and you can see that the Volkswagen Passat's the top of that range, and maybe I'm looking for an automatic car, so there you can say it's the Mercedes-Benz that shows up there. So this is the sort of thing someone will be able to do with this storyboard once I publish it to the cloud. But I want to show you something else before I do that, so I'm just going to open a version that I already started working on before, so I don't want to save that. So I'll open my previous car fuel economy storyboard. And it's just the same thing we just did, but what I've also done in here is I've created an infographic. So I found this one the other day, which was quite interesting. It's about the Obama administration and their fuel economy standards for the year 2025. So this is the infographic that I created, and we've got other tutorials and videos that show you how to do that, but I just wanted to show you an example of an infographic related to car fuel economy. And we've even got a QR code in here as well. Okay, so one nifty thing about Infographics, if we preview this, it's actually designed to be responsive. So I can preview this as it would appear on the desktop, in a tablet preview, or mobile as well. So there you can see what we've done is the way I've grouped this together when I'm creating the infographic means certain things are kept together, and then certain things will be pushed down onto the next line. So you get, this is even readable on a mobile device as well. So one design will fit many devices, which is good. Okay, so I can come back out of preview mode, and what we're going to do now is take this, so there's the infographic, and on my next page there's my car picker storyboard that we created before. So I want to publish this to the Lumira cloud. So I come over to the share room, click on my story, and then we'll publish this to the Lumira cloud. Okay, so I'm already logged in from before. And then we'll publish that. So the data has been published, and so is the story. Okay, so now let's flick over to Lumira on the cloud, and then just refresh. And there we go, there's my car fuel economy, so I just select that. And so you can see there's the infographic, which is more of a static display, so you don't interact with the infographics. This is more of a graphical, highly customized, highly visual way of representing some information. But these numbers and things can be updated in real time as the data changes that's inside of Lumira. So that's my infographic, which is kind of like the summary page. That's what I like to use it for, because it's a highly visual summary page. And then if we go into the second page, this is the interactive storyboard that we created as well. So I could then say, I'm looking again for a diesel car, and maybe I'm looking for a manual this time. So that would be the VW Passat, and you can see it gets a 35 combined fuel economy, and about just over 300 on the CO2 as well. So there you go. So what we've done very quickly is we imported some data that was split into 3 bits. We combined that together. We merged some data in there as well. We actually did some data cleansing, created some visualizations, a quick storyboard, took a look at infographics, and then published all of that to the SAP Lumira cloud, so we could actually then visualize that through a web browser as well. So yeah, stay tuned for more videos. Thanks very much.